Hi, boys and girls, it's Mrs. Batliner, and welcome to our very first story for March Madness. And if you watched my previous video kind of explaining about our March Madness, what it is two books I'm going to read that are going to go against each other, and you are going to vote which book is your favorite from those two. And we are going to work down to the very end, having a book that we as a school district have thought was the best book out of all of those books. So today's book is called Finding Winnie, the true story of the world's most famous bear, by Lindsay Maddock, illustrated by Sophia Blackall. So if you look above that word finding, you will see that little gold sticker. That sticker means that this book has won an award. And the reason it won an award was because of the drawings, the illustrations. So Sophie Blackall, she was one of the winners of having her illustrations be absolutely amazing. So as we go through these, I want you to see if you feel that her pictures are really good pictures. All right, so once again, this is the title page. We have the authors, we have the title. Could you tell me a story? Asked Cole. It's awfully late. It was a long past dark and time to be asleep. What kind of story? You know, a true story, one about a bear. We cuddled up close. I'll do my best, I said. So, looking at these illustrations, do you think that Sophia Blackall was a good illustrator? Kind of really does look like people to me. But looking at those people, it kind of looks like they are not from our generation. Kind of looks like it's from the past. So as we read this story, we'll have to figure that out. A very long time ago, about 100 years before you were born, there was a veterinarian who lived in Winnipeg. His name was Harry Colburn. A vegetarian? Said Cole. Bears don't like vegetables. A veterinarian. It means an animal doctor. I know that, Cole said. That's what I'm going to be maybe when I'm big. If a horse had the hiccups or a cow had a cough, Harry knew how to make them feel just right. Harry's hands were never cold, even in Winnipeg, where winters are so frosty that icicles grow on the insides of your nose. That was just the kind of doctor he was. But the day came when Harry had to say goodbye to Winnipeg. There was a war far, far away, beyond the end of the country and on the other side of the ocean, and he was going to help. He would be caring for the soldiers' horses. Harry rode east on the train full of other soldiers. He leaned his head against the window, watching the land scroll by, wondering what it would be like to be so far away from home. So think of that for a second. How would you feel if you had to go way across the ocean away from your family and friends? Take a look at the illustration of Harry. Does he look happy? No, he really doesn't look happy, does he? I think it'd be pretty hard to do that. The train rolled right through dinner and over the sunset and around 10 o'clock and into a nap and out the next day until it stopped at a place called White River. Harry decided to stretch his legs. On the train platform was a man on a bench with a baby. A baby? Said Cole, annoyed. Ooh, what does annoyed mean? Yeah, it means like you're like, you don't like it. So I can infer that Cole does not like what? Yeah, he doesn't like babies. A baby bear, a cub. Harry stopped. It's not every day that you see a bear cub at a train station. That bear has lost its mother, he thought, and that man must be the trapper who got her. What do trappers do? Asked Cole. It's what trappers don't do. They don't raise bears. Raise them? You know, I said love them. So remember, boys and girls, the setting of this is like 100 years ago. What would happen if you got off a train and saw a baby bear with a guy? Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? Harry thought for a long time. Then he said to himself, there is something special about that bear. He felt inside his pocket and said, I shouldn't. He paced back and forth and said, I can't. Then his heart made up his mind, and he walked up to the trapper and said, I'll give you $20 for the bear. Is $20 a lot? Asked Cole. Back then, I said, even more than a lot. So once again, take a look at those illustrations. Yeah, take a look. He's thinking, he's pacing, he's wondering. And finally, he walked up to the man and he said, I'll give you $20. And remember, 100 years ago, $20 was a lot of money. Captain Colburn, said the colonel on the train as the little bear sniffed at his knees. We are on a journey of thousands of miles, heading into the thick of battle. And you propose to bring this most dangerous creature? Bear stood straight up on her hind legs as if to salute the colonel. The colonel stopped speaking at once. And then, in quite a different voice, he said, Oh, hello. The men of Harry's regiment squeezed by to have a look. I've decided to name her Winnipeg, Harry told them, so we'll never be far from home. Winnie for short. Hey, have you ever heard of a bear named Winnie before? I have, but I'm not going to tell you when. So, does the bear look like it's mean? Nah, it doesn't look like it's mean at all, does it? They had a very long way to travel, and they'd already gone 3 or 4 feet when Winnie grew hungry. What do bears eat? The men wondered. What don't they eat? Said Harry. Vegetables, Cole reminded me. Winnie ate vegetables, I said. She ate everything except onions. They bought her carrots and potatoes and apples and tomatoes and eggs and beans and bread and a tin of fish and some slop in a dish. But Winnie was still hungry. How about dessert? Said Harry, holding up a bottle of condensed milk. Taking the treat in her paws, Winnie lay on her back and hummed a happy song as she drank. The men roared. So condensed milk for us is probably like a liquid ice cream. It's like really, really sweet and it's really, really good. Harry and Winnie gathered with the soldiers from all over Canada in the green fields of Valcartier. A whole city of tents had sprung up there. One was a hospital for horses where Harry went to work. Boys and girls, how would you like it to have to live in a tent like that? Yeah, I think it'd be fun for a couple of days. And then I'm not quite so sure how much I'd like it after that. Winnie was in the army now. Harry taught her to stand up straight and hold her head high and turn this way and that just so. Soon she was assigned her own post. Even the colonel agreed that Winnie was a remarkable bear. She might have been the best navigator in the whole army. If you hid something, could she find it? She could. What if it was farther away and farther still? Remarkable, he cried. So she was really, really good at finding things. So if you look at the illustration there on the second page, can you see way down at the bottom where she is? And then if you kind of follow the path around the tents, can you kind of see the path that she made? So she is a great army bear. In the evenings, both of them were too tired to move. When Harry thought about Winnie and the voyage across the ocean, his head said, I shouldn't. His head said, I can't. But his heart made up his mind. Boys and girls, do you know what that bed is called that soldier is sleeping on? Anybody know? Yeah, that's a cot. So yeah, so they in the army when they were there, or even when you go in a tent, you really can't bring a bed. So what you do is you bring this cot, and it doesn't have a mattress, but it does have a place that you can kind of lay down and just go to sleep so that you're not on the ground. Nobody had ever tried to float so many people and animals across the Atlantic Ocean before. 30 ships sailed together, carrying about 36,000 men and about 7,500 horses, and about one bear named Winnie. So, can you see all that? Can you see Winnie? Yeah, she looks like a super little bear on a big boat. When they finally arrived in England, the regiment went to training on the Salisbury Plain, where it rained and rained and rained. But Winnie didn't seem to mind. She was the mascot of the 2nd Canadian Infantry Brigade, and she attended her post with vigor. One day, Harry came running while she was doing her exercise in the tent. You'll bring the whole place down, he said with a laugh. She had grown. So look, when she used to, remember when she was little and she would climb up the pole and she'd be able to see? Now look, because she's bigger, what is she doing to the pole? Yeah, she's like bending it, isn't she? It was winter when the order came. The time had come to fight. Winnie posed proudly with the men for pictures to send home to their families. Harry thought for a long time. His head argued one way and then the other, but his heart made up his mind. He went to Winnie and said in a serious way, There's somewhere we need to go. Winnie brushed the mud off her nose and nuzzled in close. Look at that great illustration. It really is amazing. Harry drove all the way to the big city. Where do you think he's taking Winnie? "Here we are," said Harry, "the London Zoo." Harry took a deep breath. "Winnie, this is going to be your home for a while," he said. She tilted her head. "We're shipping out to France," he explained. "I had to take care of the horses at the front." She rested her big head against him. "I know you want to come, but it's not safe." Winnie's head bowed. Harry's hands were warm as sunshine as usual. "There is something you must always remember," Harry said. "It's the most important thing, really. Even if we're apart, I'll always love you. You'll always be my bear." So take a look at the illustration of Harry. How does he feel here? Yeah, he's super sad because he has to leave him. Remember, I love the fact in the other pages where he was thinking and he was thinking, in his mind, he wanted to take her, but in his heart, he's like, no, I can't. It's too dangerous. So super hard decision that he had to make. Is that the end? That's the end of Harry and Winnie's story, I said. But I don't want it to be over, said Cole. Sometimes, I said, you have to let one story end so the next one can begin. How do you know when that will happen? You don't, I said, which is why you should always carry on. So take a look, there's the zoo. Once upon a time, there was a little boy with a stuffed bear. He'd had his bear ever since he was a baby. But somehow, the boy never found the right name for him. He'd tried Teddy and Edward and even Big Bear. So, boys and girls, this is the little boy, Cole, that was listening to the story. And so he's trying to make up his own story now. One day, the boy went to visit the London Zoo with his father, and there was a bear, a real bear, on the terrace there. Right away, the boy thought, there's something special about that bear. Her name is Winnie. They became true friends. The boy was allowed to come right inside her enclosure to play. Once the boy had found Winnie, he knew just what to call his stuffed bear. He named it Winnie the Pooh. And the boy was called Cole, said Cole. His name was Christopher Robin Milne. Christopher Robin would visit Winnie at the zoo, and then he would take his stuffed animal on all sorts of adventures in the wood behind the home. His father, Alan Alexander Milne, wrote books all about them. Harry's Winnie became Winnie the Pooh, and there has never been a more beloved bear. But what about Harry? Cole asked. When Harry visited Winnie at the zoo, he saw how happy she was. She was being raised. She was truly loved. And that was all he ever wanted from the moment they met at the train station in White River. So after the war, Harry returned to Winnipeg and his life as an animal doctor. Before long, he was married and had a son named Fred. And Fred had a daughter named Laureen, and Laureen had a daughter named Lindsay, which is me. And then I had a son. When I saw you, I thought, there is something special about that boy. So I named you after your great-great-grandfather, Captain Harry Colburn. I named you Cole. So if you look up there at the top picture in the tree, that is Harry and Fred. And then there's Fred and Lauren. Then there's Lauren and Lindsay. and then there's Lindsay and Cole. So they all belong to the story. That's me, said Cole in a whisper. That's you. And that's Winnie? Yes, I said, that's Winnie. And it's all true? Sometimes the best stories are, I said. Cole's eyes grew big, and he said nothing for a long time. Then he hugged his own bear close and let out a yawn that reached far away. And they both turned over and fell asleep. What a great story. So if you look, here's an album. So it really was a true story about what happened. All right. So if you look, this is Harry as the young soldier. So he was the veterinarian that took care of the horses. Right? So look, he's really real. Harry kept diaries throughout World War I. This was the diary from 1914, the first year of the war. The diary page from the day Harry found Winnie on August 24th, 1914, he wrote, bought Bear $20. So if you look on the left side of the page there, like where that fox is, that's Harry's writing right there, right? When he kept the diaries. And then if you look on the next page there, 3 soldiers with Winnie at her post. So can you see the bear there? Winnie and Harry have what appeared to be a laugh and a snack. Harry and his fellow soldiers with their mascot, Winnie. So boys and girls, it really was a true story. This picture of Winnie and Harry inspired the statues that now stand in Winnipeg and London. The statue in Winnipeg was unveiled in 1992. So, older kids, if you're listening to this, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to Google Harry and Winnie, World War II, Canada, and see if you can actually find information about them. This photo was taken of Winnie and Christopher Robin in 1925 at the zoo after they became friends. Christopher Robin's father, A.A. Milne, watches them play from above. So it's really hard to kind of see the dad up there. But remember, Winnie was a friendly bear, so Christopher was able, I don't know how, but he was like able to go in the cage. This official animal record card shows that Winnie began her stay at the London Zoo on December 9th, 1914. So if you look at that card there, it talks about a black bear. It's from White River, Ontario. So really, really cool. Lindsay and Cole in 2013. We knew there was something special about this boy. And then that is the end of the story. So think about this story if you liked it. And then when you get the form, you'll see if you like this story better than the next one that I will read. All right. I will see you the next time.